So this is our 7th stone, our 7th plaque, our 7th hero of wargaming. And if you were a wargamer in the 1970s, especially a fantasy wargamer, you owe a great deal to this man, even though some of you might not know his name. John was the first person who took figures from toys to tabletop miniature collectibles. He was the person who gave us the idea that miniature figures should be something special, something to be treasured, something to be lovingly painted and collected, something to be put on a table to make a table better. They weren't just counters, where they weren't flat, they weren't one-dimensional, two-dimensional, no-dimensional. They had life. He imagined real places, real things, and he gave them to us. Fantastic. At a time when the game was balancing play counters with the beginnings of imagination, John was the first person to inspire that. He bought it, he got it, he understood us. And he created something unique. He worked for a number of places. I won't say miniature figurines, probably. Because John was freelance, he didn't associate with one particular company. I've always associated him with miniature figurines, with those Tolkien fantasy sword and sorcery games, which is what I played. But he also designed for Asgard and other companies who sort of would take 1-2 figures in a range. It didn't necessarily exclusively work for anybody. For me, and for many wargamers of my generation, I was probably 15 in 1972, 73. He made the figures that we were waiting for. When the Tolkien range from miniature figurines came out, that's what I'd been imagining. That's what I'd been desperate for someone to make. I remember using Hinchcliffe Indian Light Cavalry as Riders of Rohan. Suddenly, somebody was making Riders of Rohan. I didn't have to buy Bill Lamming's strange Vikings with winged helmets. Maybe they were Gauls. Yeah, they'd be Gauls, wouldn't they? Let's get it right. Sorry, Bill. Look up there. Sorry, Bill. Lamming made some, they were like barbarian-y things, and they had winged helmets. And obviously, we use them as men of Gondor. But now, we actually had real, genuine men of Gondor. So why is he a hero? Because he created the aesthetic. He was the person who really said, yeah, come on, look what we can do. Look what I can do for you. And then you can paint them and put them on your table, and you can have the best battles that you can imagine. We didn't know it was going to get better. I suspect if I look back to the 70s, I would imagine that those figures were as good as it was going to get. I didn't sort of lay around thinking, I know what's going to happen next year. This is pre-White Dwarf, it's pre-Citadel, it's pre-Games Workshop. We didn't really think of figures as coming out in new ranges. Hinchcliffe made what they made. Lamming made what they made. Asgard made what they made. We weren't expecting a new range. A lot of us were stuck with one range anyway. We weren't bothered about another range coming out. I couldn't care less if minifigs started to do biblical figures. That wasn't what I was doing. But they made our tables look better. So John absolutely deserves our green plaque.